everyone, so unfortunately some footage got deleted. That was the footage of me spraying some even hairspray and brushing my brows up. Now you can see that I'm combing them over, just making sure that they're shaped perfectly exactly how I want it. Once your brows are finished, they should look exactly like this, sticking straight up, shaped perfectly how you want it. I'm now going to be taking this 99-cent brow pencil. So the trick is with the pencil and doing your brows is to start exactly at your arch. As you can see, I made some marks there for you guys. So whenever I do it, I just try to picture the shape I'm wanting to do my brows. So you see I kind of went around to show you guys how to do that. So when filling in your brows and creating the shape, you want to lightly go under the brows and not too much, not putting too much product on there, but lightly so you can just see, a little bit of that color coming through. So then to the front of the brows, I like to be extra careful, being very light-handed when doing this. You don't want to be too dark on your brows. Now I'm going to be going ahead and going across, as you can see. So once I do that, I don't start at the front. I try to start kind of in the middle, closer to the end of my brow, doing the same thing like I did at the bottom and just slightly going over it. I like to kind of describe it as me coloring in a coloring book and kind of outlining, the shape and stuff like that. So yeah. Now you see me slightly filling in my brows, filling any gaps that I have in, just making sure that it all is blending out perfectly. Once my brows are finished, I just like to go ahead and fill in the front a little bit, making sure that it's all blended out and that it's not missing any gaps. So I'm going to be taking my Morphe flat concealer brush and my Juvia's Place concealer. Now when concealing my brows, I like to start not where the arch is, but kind of before it. That way I can map it out and line it up across. So as you can see, I started a little bit in the front, not all the way, kind of at the halfway mark or 1/4. And I just like to go ahead and line it all the way across. Once I do that, I kind of like to bring it into the front a little bit, just making sure that everything is good. I don't like to swipe it when going to the front, but basically just moving it, across. After concealing under my brows, I kind of like bringing it down because I will be using this concealer shade as a base. Moving on to the top of my brow, just like the bottom of my brow, I do not like to start in the front, but closer, not at the arch, but a little bit before it. Like I said, I do not like to really drag it. When I first start off, I kind of tap, and then swipe all the way down, just mapping it out. And it's okay if you feel like, your brow is too big, because the thing with concealer, you can always bring it down and, move it how you want to. So for the top of the brow, I don't like to use too much product. I like to slightly just make a line at the top, not bringing it too much down, but just going straight across. That way it just doesn't look too harsh and is giving a natural blend. So whenever I start the next brow, I like to drag the under concealer all the way to the middle. That way it meets with the other brow. It just kind of gives me a little bit closure knowing that they're at the same height and they're kind of not identical, but maybe fraternal twins. Just kidding, y'all. But I just want to make sure that if they're not sisters, I want them to be cousins at least. So after concealing, your brows should look like this. I tried to point out how I looked at them to make sure they were the same, and I just kind of concealed where I felt like I needed to fix it at, just to map them out to be the right size. I'll now be using this buffing brush I got from Miss A and slightly tapping in that product, making sure that everything is smooth and blended out evenly across the bottom of my brow as well as the top of my brow. Done with that, I'm going to be taking my MAC setting spray as well as going in with my MAC primer and just making sure that that's smooth. I'll now be taking this BH Cosmetic blending brush. I do not remember the number. I will link it down below in the description. But as you can see, I like to start at the outside of my eye, blending out, then blending in. So you will see me repetitively do this, do out, in, making sure that product is all across my eye. Once I'm done with that, I just go ahead and tap a little bit more product, making sure that it is pigmented on my eye. I do like to start with a little bit and then, continue to add more if I feel like I need more, but I never like to start off too crazy. I'll be taking my small Morphe crease brush and just blending in my product into my crease. So I like to go in, out, in, out. I'm actually trying to create a line. As you can see, I kind of wing it out. But yes, whenever you're blending into your crease, go in, go out, go in, go out. I know I'm just repeating it, but I promise you it's about blending. So you just want to make sure that it's all blended out. I'll now be going in with my Morphe eyeshadow brush. I'm so sorry that I don't know the number or the name of these brushes, but I will be linking them down below. I just want to make sure that everything is blended out smoothly. When doing your eyeshadow, you just always want to make sure that everything is combined and blended out. Now going in with my Morphe angled brush, I'm going to go ahead and take the product at the corner of my eye and making a line. So you just want to make sure that you're at the corner of your eye and just bringing that line up. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to be taking my NARS foundation and I'm just going to be using that same concealer brush I used earlier and just swiping that product all over my face. I'm just making sure that I have enough to do a full coverage look. I'm now going to be going in with my flat foundation brush, making sure I pat it into my skin and not swipe. I promise you guys, doing this will definitely make your look 1,000 times better. Always pat your foundation into your skin and do not ever swipe it. After blending my foundation, I just like to go over my brows a little bit, making sure that everything is good and then it doesn't need an extra shape up or any of that. So now I'll be taking my NARS concealer, as you can see, marking it at the inner corner of my eyes, just to show you guys where you should be placing that concealer at, bringing it out to the middle of my eye, not all the way, but just leaving a little bit for the middle. Once I'm finished with that, just like I went ahead and put that product on my angled brush, it's the same way I like to do this concealer, making sure that line is straight as can be. So for the rest of the concealer, I like to go on my chin, on the bridge of my nose, and also at the tip of my nose, and then just a little bit close down to my eyebrows, but a little bit to the middle of my forehead. That way it can just brighten up my face. Once you're finished with that, your concealer placement should look something like this. So like I said before, I left a little gap in the middle. That's where I like to go in with that lighter shade of my Juvia's Place, just placing that in the middle just to brighten up that eye a little bit. I'll now be taking my favorite brush of all time. This is my favorite brush when it comes to blending out concealer. It just always get the job done. So when blending out your concealer, you just always want to tap in and always go up. So just basically going around the eye. Also, as far as the concealer on the chin and the forehead, you just want to make sure that it's all blended in seamlessly and everything is looking very much so smooth. be contouring my nose. I'm going to show you guys 2 different ways to do it. I like to bring mine up kind of towards my eyeshadow, but if you don't like that, you can definitely do it this way. I don't really know how to explain it, but I kind of go across the tip of my nose and under. And as far as contouring these cheeks, I always like to bring it up, as you can see, and just going down that way, it can just give a facelift. Now when it comes to contouring the forehead, I just throw a little bit on there. That way it just can all blend in flawlessly. Also going under and around my face, just making sure I have that big 3 going on. Probably wondering why I'm putting more concealer. I just did that since I already blended out. I have to blend around the bridge of my nose, as you can see, like blending it up, making a nice straight line. So I had to put access concealer on there. That way it can blend in flawlessly and it's not like I'm just trying to move a brick wall. So whenever you're blending in your concealer, I always like to pat up, patting it into the concealer. That way I'm not dragging it down. Now I'll be taking my Fenty powder in the shade Honey and tapping it into my concealer. That way I can go ahead and set it into place. Once I'm finished with that, I just like to go ahead and take a little bit more of that e.l.f. product that I use to contour and just go across the bridge of my nose, making sure everything is blended. Now I'll be going in with my Juvia's Place bronzer, just trying to bring warmth back into my face. I'll now be taking that same brush that I used for my foundation and just dragging it down, still creating that facelift look and blending it out with my blending brush. So after applying my blush and my setting spray, I'm going to go ahead with that same Fenty powder I used to set in my concealer and just swiping in, making sure that everything is clean, it's looking sharp, it's giving, you know, transformer, it's giving shape, everything. I will now be using that same Fenty powder to go ahead and bake under my eyes as well. So now I will be going under my eyes with an eyeliner pencil. That way it can just match that wing and just dragging it out a little bit. So this right here is very optional. You don't have to do it if you want to. I'm just not good at wing eyeliners, so I like to bring it out in the inner corners of my eyes. I'm using the same shade I used to do the outer corners. So once I'm done with that, I'm just going to be swiping that powder off my face, just making sure everything is looking smooth, blended, and everything else. Now, if you have another way that you like to use when applying your eyelashes, you can definitely do so. But for me, this is the best way since my eyelashes are very curly. So whenever I'm lining my lips, I like to start at my cupid bow and bring it around just to define my lips a little bit, just to show that they are there. I'll now be going in with my favorite NYX Buttercream Gloss and just tapping it in together. And if you ever do feel like you messed up or put too much, you can always line your lips a little bit like I did right here. Now taking a little bit of shimmer and tapping it on the bow of my eyebrow, the bridge of my nose, and my cheekbone. And voila, this is the finished look. I hope you guys like it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Don't mind my leave out, y'all. I just did a big chop and I finally got the fodder in it, so she's looking a little crunchy. But like I said, like, subscribe, and share. Bye.